And there's some highlights from your season so far. And now you sit in the, well, luxury, I have to say, of your motorhome here. You could be just hours away from winning the championship. How do you feel?
Yeah, laid back. I mean, it is possible today. It wasn't really possible at Alton Park, barring, you know, a bit of a disaster on JR's point. And yeah, I mean, just have to see what happens and get out there. And I just want to win the races, to be honest. I'll be gutted if I win the championship by getting. I think I need 2 5th places to get the title. And if I only do that and got the title by that, I'll be spewing. So hopefully we'll be in for a couple of good races. So.
You had an amazing start to the season, a lot of great wins, and then it would be unfair to call it a dip in form, but you haven't been getting those results that we got used to getting. What's happened?
There's a number of things. I mean, both the Suzuki guys are riding real well. They've been riding well all year. John and Yuki are both fantastic riders, and you know, they've obviously done or found something with them bikes that's made them go a lot better, because like you said at the beginning of the year, it was not easy to beat them, but you know, it was like me off at the front and then everyone else doing their own thing, and now the Suzukis have got that strong that it's been the last few races like them off at the front and me chasing them, and you know, I'm not happy about that, but what can we do?
You've had an incredible rise really when you think about it. 2 years ago winning the Privateers, and then of course doing the double at the Worlds this year. How do you feel about the British Superbikes now, having that world victory under your belt?
British Superbikes is awesome. I mean, to be honest, I knew JR and myself would go pretty good at Brands Hatch, because, not being big-headed, but JR and me were a fair bit quicker than most people at the British round. I mean, we kind of went off and had our own race, and I didn't really see how the World Boys could be a lot faster, but one thing I will say was that the Motorcycle News quote saying that World Superbike was too easy was a load of rubbish, and I want everybody to know that.
You've been called many things, I suppose. Housewife's choice, and what's the new one? Showboater? Showtime? Showtime. You've never really, we know you're not an arrogant fella. So to turn around and say that you want to go straight to GPs and bypass the Worlds sounded ridiculous. What is your plan? Ideally, how would you like to see it all work for you?
To be honest, I mean, everything can hopefully fall into place after this weekend. I'd desperately love to win the championship this weekend, and that's that done then, you know. And I think get back to relaxing and having fun again. I'm a little bit tense, and obviously, you know, it's a big day for me, the biggest day of my life. I mean, winning this is going to be more important than winning the World Superbike races. And you know, obviously when I'm lined up on the grid a bit later on, I'm going to be, oh, blimey, you know, stomach's going to be doing somersaults and what have you. But I want to get this season done and win this championship hopefully, and then you know, see what's going on. I mean, I spoke to my boss about a ride the other day. He took us for a meal in Louth, and we were walking to the Italian restaurant, and he says, you'll not need to be coming here again. And I don't know if that meant that he's going to take me World Superbike, or if we're not coming to Cadwell Park again, but you know, I just have to wait and see what happens. My contract's up with Paul at the end of this month, and just have to see if there's anything else about, or go from there.
Well, he's making it as hard as he can to win this championship. A huge crash across the weekend in practice has left Shaky Byrne sore and sorry. Third place on the grid then for qualifying, not a bad effort. And a huge effort from this man, Michael Rutter, right out to the edge of the circuit, bringing the neck of that Renegade Ducati. That's a bit more like it, Michael. Second on the grid and pole position, you guessed it, John Reynolds getting the max out of the enormous horsepower in that Rizzler Suzuki. Pole position, just what he needs, because remember, there's a big battle between him and Michael Rutter for second in the championship. So there's your confirmation. JR, Michael Rutter, Shane Byrne, Steve Plater getting onto the front row. That's important. Second row, Richards, Emmett, Mason and Leon Haslam. Just a reminder, that championship position, Shaky Byrne, as you can see, he's got to do it today.
Well, grey skies over Cadwell Park this afternoon, and certainly a very dark cloud over the Rizzler Suzuki team. Yukio Kageyama had a very, very bad crash in warm-up this morning, and joined by his team boss now, Paul Denning. Paul, how is Yukio?
It's difficult to say, and it's a horrible situation not knowing, really. He's got a fairly nasty pelvic injury, and they can be 10 weeks to fix, and they can be a year and a half to fix.
He will be back on his feet at some stage, you think?
Oh yeah, I don't think there's any question. I don't think, you know, there can always be a worse situation, and you know, he's conscious and he can feel everything, and he's got no spinal injury, and you know, and he's a very strong, fit young guy, and he will definitely come back. But and you know, clearly we're devastated as a team, and you know, the lad is such a part of our team in every single way that it makes it difficult, this kind of situation. Yeah.
Well, please pass on our best wishes to Yukio, won't you?
Yeah, we certainly will. Thank you.
OK, let's cross to our commentary team for race 1 of round 10, Steve Parish and Charlie Cox.
OK, well, our thoughts go out to Yukio as we prepare here for race 1. A reminder, John Reynolds, your pole sitter, Michael Rutter alongside, Shaky Byrne there, bike 4. Can he do it this race? And Plater right alongside, Steve Plater on the Honda. Revs are up, ready for a start, and they're away. Jump clean, he looked like Reynolds got away very sharply indeed. Reynolds on the left-hand side, straight up the hill. Shaky Byrne's gone with him. Plater's having a look down the inside, but it's Reynolds first. And round the outside of him, Michael Rutter. Now there's the view back. We're riding with John Reynolds. And Byrne is threatening. Good start from Reynolds, though.
Yeah, very good from John Reynolds. The power of that big 1000cc Suzuki. And now we should see it down the straight. Shane Byrne right in the slipstream. Fastest part of the circuit, about 165, 170 miles an hour.
He's done it already. Look at that, straight through. Shaky Byrne means business. Pushes past John Reynolds, but the pair of them already looking the class of the field.
Very much so, but they have been really this latter part of the season, haven't they? Now, that was a brave move from Shane Byrne. On board now with Steve Plater and the Honda. Listen to that big V-twin as it dumps its way around there. Foot off the footrest there from John Reynolds.
And a big challenge there from Steve Plater on that black and red Honda. Straight through down the inside. Maybe that slip cost Reynolds.
Yeah, I think it probably did, but Steve Plater, very brave there. He crashed at that corner Mansfield last year, but he's very much on it here today at Cadwell Park as they come into the mountain section. Looking back from John Reynolds Suzuki, 75 behind him, Glenn Richards. Watch the front wheel paw the air as they come up towards Hall Bend.
Yeah, talk about honoured. He's up into 4th place already, pushing very hard behind Reynolds. Great stuff from him as we ride 2nd place now with Plater, and another foot off the foot pegs. That time it was Shaky Byrne. In close now, getting the power down. This is really good stuff from Steve Plater, pushing really hard early.
Yeah, now Steve Plater, remember, won at Alton Park. He's really got things sorted out on that big V-twin Honda. He's vindicated himself really from the performance at the start of the season. Everyone was saying, what's happened to Steve Plater? He's always been able to ride a motorcycle fast, and he's now back on it with a bike he trusts.
Steve Plater just tapping the power down there, coming out of Charlie's. John Reynolds very much in touch at this early stage. In fact, Reynolds pushing very hard as though he wants this position back. Just having a bit of a look down the inside there, just sizing up whether he can actually claw that spot back. But this is a very different Steve Plater.
Yeah, now Steve Plater, as I said, he's now changed the suspension on that bike. They've got WP suspension on it. He feels confident, especially in the front end, and he's very, very good at jamming it down the inside now, right on the back wheel of number 4, Shane Byrne. And he's going to have a look maybe down the inside into Mansfield. Is he? No, not this time around, but he really is able to put the bike down the inside now.
And get the power out early. You can hear that bike absolutely squirming as he tries to tap it out. Mansfield, where he took that spot from Reynolds a lap ago.
Up now over the mountain section. Now listen as he comes over the top. There it is. The wheel leaves the ground at that point. Front wheel's up in the air and the rear jumps at the same time. Now through Hall Bend.
So tight in here, 2nd gear. He's really starting to line him up. As Steve Plater having a look down the inside, up into the hairpin. He's through. Steve Plater, bike number 5, the Honda through. And straight back again, Byrne. I'm going to win this race. I'm going to win this championship. Byrne stamps his authority, pushes it back through. All of this playing into John Reynolds' hands. Back across the stripe again.
And look at Reynolds on the inside here, but he can't do it this time around. That was interesting then. Plater was fast into the hairpin, but Shaky Byrne got the drive. He got to turn the bike back, and he got himself through.
And just behind this trio as well, Gary Mason just picked up a spot there from Glenn Richards on the Kawasaki. So battles all the way through the field, but this trio at the front starting to clear off. Reynolds fighting back there, having a look down the inside. Plater's got that covered though. Got to hang a right. No, he hasn't. Famous last words, Reynolds round the outside.
Yeah, now Steve Plater riding a defensive line. John Reynolds went right round the outside. Now we're looking back from the Suzuki. That Honda behind, and you can hear the Suzuki screaming itself as John Reynolds really revs the thing out back towards the gooseneck.
Okay, hanging in tight. We've got a Plater eye view here. Down there, this is where he was so strong before, Steve Plater. Sounds fabulous. Now here's the view back from Reynolds. Plater stalking us, menacing looking machine. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, it's Plater lunging.
Such a tough part of the circuit. It's about trying to get over there fast, but if you leave the ground for too long, you get wheel spin, you lose momentum at that point. Plater again, jamming it on the inside.
A big lunge. It worked yet again. Fabulous stuff now. Can John Reynolds switch back? Reynolds looking over his shoulder there as though he's really distracted.
Well, he will be, because Gary Mason now on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha is going really good. Number 8, young Gary Mason. He's really moved up into the 1st division this year, and certainly here at Cadwell Park.
Okay, we're starting to get a little bit of breathing space as well there. now for the championship leader. It's looking pretty good. He's got it in the bag if he sits where he is right now.
He has enough points. If he stays in this position, he can take the championship in this first race. He looks in very determined form. Again, down the dip, up the hill they come now. 6th gear, and then they jam it back down into 2nd for this park corner. Very important getting the drive out of this corner, and then you squeeze it on all the way around the long, crisp curve.
Yeah, Reynolds really quick in that run up to park.
Yeah, well, he's got the speed, just about the fastest motorcycle out there. I guess it's close on 200 horsepower, that GSXR Rizla Suzuki now. Through the gooseneck, down the hill, and this is Plater's place.
It certainly is indeed. His favourite spot, very physical. Byrne doesn't want to give best. Is he going to have to? No, very forceful defence, but cheeky stuff from Steve Plater.
Yeah, really interesting stuff there. Shane Byrne is not giving in. Now, we're looking back. That is number 8, Gary Mason, on that R1 Yamaha, up over the top of the hill again. Byrne looks really good. He clambers up towards the front of the bike.
Okay, Plater lunging really hard now. Now, here's where he's strong. This is another place he's been cheeky. Close enough, is he? Not quite. Hanging in tight.
Right, out of barn corner here, 2nd gear corner, but the track really drops away. It's a bit of a negative camber there. Important to get the drive here. Simon Buckmaster, the head of Honda Racing there, keeping a good eye on his man Steve Plater, number 5 we're looking at, and he is going good.
Certainly is indeed, and John Reynolds starting to close that gap up again as well as we go through Charlie's now. And the run down the back straight with Reynolds has been so powerful, but this time around, at least at the moment, Plater starting to clear off. Now, Plater having a run, having a look down the inside. Is there room? Look at Reynolds going very, very deep there, and there's contact. Reynolds pushing his way down the inside. Both of them survive it, but John Reynolds forcing past Plater.
Well, on board with Steve Plater, and that is the Rizla Suzuki down the inside. I do think that John Reynolds maybe ran out of brakes. It's not normal for him to bash people out of the way, but they've both stayed on, fortunately for him.
And look, Plater's back. Plater's pushed his way back already in another part of this circuit where he's been so strong. This is Biff and Barge.
Well, this is Steve Plater's local circuit. I know he was determined to get a good result here today, and it is looking good, but he would not have been happy about that. Even if John Reynolds had run out of brakes, it doesn't count. You're not supposed to smash someone off the track.
A quick old part of the circuit as well. Once again through this long sweeping right-hander, preparing the big run down the back straight, and bear in mind we are heading back to the scene of the crime where it all happened a lap ago. Now, is JR going to have another lunge? Here's where it all happened. He's having a look down the inside. Much more judicious sort of performance there.
Yeah, now John hasn't been that strong on that corner previously, but it certainly seemed to work last time around. Back at the front, they're starting to stretch away a little bit from Gary Mason now. Hey, that was
moment there, huge moment.
Yeah, problem there for Steve Plater. I don't know if it was a loss of grip or a loss of gear at that point, but it's allowed number 6, John Reynolds, to get through.
Definitely a loss of place, though. Down to 3rd, although Plater having a little look down the inside there at Mansfield. Another little look as well on the exit. He's been strong there before. But interesting that these guys are not letting Shaky Byrne get away like they might have done earlier in the season.
There's no doubt the Rizla Suzuki team have picked their game up, certainly with John Reynolds. He's getting faster and faster, and listen to that Honda. A loss of transmission there from Steve Plater. There's something wrong with his bike, and he's pulling over on the side of the circuit. I guess maybe the chain has come off, and it has. Look at that. The chain is off.
Oh, what's the paintwork, Steve? Terrible luck. Burns is down. That's Chris Burns on the 2nd of the Virgin Yamahas. He's out as well. That's terrible. But as we come across the line for the last time, Plater losing his chain, that's uncanny.
Yeah, so disappointing. He was riding so well, but it's unique to Cadwell Park, and especially the mountain. As you come over there, the rear wheel leaves the ground, it unloads the suspension, and unfortunately, if you land a little crooked, the weight of the chain just makes it jump the sprocket.
Okay, we are on this last lap, as I said, and Shane Byrne is riding for this championship. John Reynolds is going to keep it very, very honest right to the end. Up the hill one more time. Can we get another desperado from JR under brakes? Not close enough.
Wow, this is so good, isn't it, for Shane Byrne? This will take the championship if he gets this thing home to the finish line now. Take it with a win. That's exactly what he said he wanted to do. Paul Bird will be over the moon with this, and he is doing a fantastic job. John Reynolds doing everything he can to close him down, though.
How many chances has he got now? Down the hill here into Mansfield. Not close enough.
Yeah,
Fast running out of corners.
He'll be making that Monster Mob Ducati very wide now through this section here, and it's tough to pass through here. The only person I've seen doing a good job was Steve Plater into the hairpin, so John Reynolds, I really can't see him getting this one. And look at him jump over the top there. His chain's all right.
Absolutely is. He wants to win this championship, and he wants to win it from the front. He's going to cross the stripe, take this win, and take the championship all in one go. Is Reynolds close enough? No way. Up into the hairpin. Through Barn, last corner on the circuit, just head down. He's going to do it. Shane Byrne takes the race. Shane Byrne is the 2003 British Superbike champion.
Tremendous stuff. And is he happy or is he not? Look at that. What a great day for that Monster Mob team. Paul Byrne, I'm sure he won't be fining him for anything here this day.
Yeah, nice work, guys. Terrific stuff. Nice work as well for John Reynolds there in second place in this race. Hard luck to Steve Plater, and well done to Michael Rutter up there on the podium as well. Oh, Shaky, he might have had a mighty lead through this championship, but he's made us wait a bit.
Yeah, he has, but right on form here today. Stuart Bland there trying to make a number 1. It looks more like a 7 to me, but nevertheless, there is the number 1 plate on the bike, and the whole team comes over to congratulate him, and so they should. Faultless, really. That ride today was such a tremendous effort for someone that was chasing a championship, but he got the win.
Everything perfect all year. Let's not forget that astonishing performance against the boys in the World Superbikes as well. But there's your confirmation from race 1. Byrne, Reynolds, Rutter, Gary Mason, Glenn Richards, and look at that. Dennis Hobbs up there in the top 8, lead privateer. Nice ride. Lee Jackson 9, and Nick Med, the Charger, in there in 10th place. Championship positions, well, what do you want to know? Shane Byrne has taken out the title. John Reynolds in second place, but it's pretty close for him, and Michael Rutter in third. Could go either way. He won't lose that smile in a hurry, will he?
I'm sure he won't. He takes his first British Superbike Championship.
He's taking it very seriously. He's got absolutely feral with that champagne, getting absolutely everyone.
You're the champion. How's it feel?
Oh, mega. I mean, I'd have been gutted if I'd have won the championship with 2 fifth places, because that was what we needed, and I probably wouldn't even stay behind tonight if I did. But, you know, I wanted to win it by winning a race, and it's been a long time since I won a race, and, you know, they worked me like a dog, didn't they? They wouldn't let me have it easy, and, you know, the last couple of laps there, all I could think about was John coming past, and I knew that, you know, that weren't enough. That meant it had to go to race 2, and tried so hard for the last few laps and just managed to hold on. So all credit to my team, you know, to Dunlop, everyone involved in my racing. I mean, you know, we wouldn't be where we are without them, so fair play to everyone. Thank you very much.